How's she going, eh? First off, I'd like to thank Will from Mr. Will's Dying Breed Garage for having me on his channel yesterday on his live, and those that joined in. I really enjoyed it, and I hope he has me on another time. He's a really easy guy to talk to, and I had a hell of a good time. But yeah, anyhow, we're doing some cylinder head stuff today. A few ponies for a few hours, I guess we'll call it. So, this is an old head. And here's the heat crossover. So what we're going to do on these heads, that's your Edelbrock part number. It comes with these cast plugs. So they fit very tight. So guys got to grind them till they fit. And once you grind them till they fit, put a bevel all the way around and then weld around it. And when you're welding cast, the best would be to use a preheat and use a high nickel rod. I'd say your second choice would be 7018. And then if you don't have that and you're just using flux core, it will work. It's not really a structural piece you're doing here, so it will work just fine. But the key to welding this cast is burn a little bit. Once you got it all fit up nice, burn a little bit, and then get your chipping hammer and peen it right away. And what that does is it gets rid of the stress areas. So I would tack the corners, and then I'd start welding, and I'd jump around, and then I'd peen it right away. So pretty much beat it is what that means. And then keep going until you got her fused all the way around, and then grind her down smooth. So that's one step on this old head. And when you're grinding, if you're building motors, you got a lot of grinding to do here on these, so you're going to put a lot of dust in the air. If you got motors around, get yourself some garbage bags and cover everything up, because you don't want them eating a bunch of cast iron dust. So that's a good little tip. If you had the real big orange bags, that would be probably your best bet. Alright, just give me a sec here and I'll show you the next step. Alright, on your intake side here, see that bump in the corner? I think there's two of them. That bump is recessed because the tapping for your valve cover bolt goes in there. So you can massage that a bit. Don't go crazy, because then your bolt will go right into your intake port. But you can definitely take a little out of there. I'm not doing much for porting. I'm not pulling the valves or anything on these heads because we're just all machined. And with my luck, I'll end up hitting a seat or something. And I don't need to do that because I'm trying to go forward here, not back. And so yeah, for the intake side, that's all we're going to do is take those, plug the exhaust crossover, and there's that bump again in the left corner, and massage those out. That's it for intake side. Alright, let's look at exhaust. Alright, now for the exhaust side. If you're running headers, you definitely want to do this, or if you're running the good manifolds, like the WZ manifolds, you want to do this. So same thing. See the divider on the center port? On an Olds, they kind of join here, and I think that's why Olds motors kind of have that tractor sound to them, like, because the exhaust port kind of gets shared. But for performance, it's no bloody good. So what you want to do there is heat her up with a torch again and build this divider up with weld. Then same thing, weld it, peen it, weld it, and when you get that done, grind her flush. So that's a simple thing to do, and you'll also have to grind on the sides and make everything true and uniform, but it's no big deal. And air bumps. Okay, this is a weird thing on an Olds. I think they were planning on an air pump system or something years before air pumps ever came out, and they never went with it. So see these bosses right here, here, and here. that's where they had them machined. So if they were going to put an air pump in, and if you look on the inside, see that? Those are called air bumps. They're shit. You can take those suckers right off. Get them, just totally get rid of them. So get your die grinder out and grind those right out. And you'll definitely pick up some flow in your exhaust side. So that's all we're going to do on these heads. Like I say, I could do more, some bowl work and stuff like that, but I'm kind of chicken shit of hitting a seat, so I'm not going to do that, and it'll work okay. For the manifolds I'm going to use on that Studebaker, I got a set of manifolds, but they're shitty ones, but they'll fit in the chassis. The good ones won't fit in the chassis, and they're just log manifolds, so what I'm doing here won't make one bit of difference, welding this up with those manifolds. But maybe later on I'll build a set of headers for it and it'll already be made and I won't have to be pulling heads off and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the plan for today. And when I get them done, I'll clean them up real good, take them to the car wash, pressure wash them with soapy water. After that, I'll take an air compressor, blow a bunch of air through them, and get them dried up, and then I'm going to soak them down with WD-40, so if there's any water left, the WD-40 will take care of that. And then they should be prepped pretty good to put on this motor. Yeah. Oh, and another thing I seen yesterday on the live, I didn't comment on it, but I thought it was funny. Bear Rose Garage, which has a very similar name to me, he told me he smokes drum tobacco. And that's what I smoke, so that's kind of weird. We're probably the only last two guys in the bloody world that smoke the shit, but no, drum is better than good. It's the best tobacco out there. If you're into smoking shit ends, I suggest you get drum tobacco. There's nothing else like it. But anyhow, I'm going to get grinding away here. If you're grinding, I suggest you wear a pair of safety glasses instead of doing an old safety squint. If you're zip cutting, you should probably have a welding mask on, especially if you're not that experienced with it. I've spent half my life on a grinder, so yeah, I do just fine without a guard and just glasses, but yeah, you probably want to do that. And if you're welding and grinding, you probably want to get a welding jacket like that one there, or you can just be a redneck hillbilly like me and just have a jacket like this.